No kidding, I think the brand new Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 is a huge competitor to my beloved iPad Pro. And you can get so much more capability for, at best, the same amount of money, or in pre-order cases, for far less money. So should you pay more for that Apple tablet? Let's find out. And while we're finding out, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. First note before we dive into the video, nobody is paying me to make this video. Well, Squarespace is. But at least as far as I'm aware, they're not owned by either Apple or Samsung. But neither of these companies, in fact, nobody at all provided me either tablet. I pre-ordered them both with my own money. One last disclaimer that I want to make is how I approach tablets. I'm not much of a designer. I'm not a gamer. I'm an office worker that sees the value of a piece of technology not by all the bells and whistles or all the fancy stuff it has, but on how it makes my work life easier. And the best part of that is a lot of that bleeds over into what I think a student would need as well. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1. You're getting a 2-for-1 video today. First thing that I want to compare is we'll quickly talk about the price difference. The 11-inch iPad Pro can be had directly from Apple for $799. For that money, you'll get the 8-core M1 processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabyte solid state drive, and a beautiful 2388 by 1668 11-inch liquid retina display. You can also order that with up to a 2 terabyte solid state drive, which I think we can all agree is still pretty bonkers for such a small tablet, but if you really want it, you can pay $1899 to get it. The Samsung Tab S8, on the other hand, comes in at $699. And let me take a minute to complain about the Samsung pricing model. So you go to their website and it shows you a very low price, but that price already includes a trade-in. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You click that trade-in off and you get another more reasonable price, but then you order it and then you get a receipt showing that the device was more than that, but they discounted it themselves to give you that $699 price. I don't know about you, team, but that's shady as crap, and I do not like how Samsung does that. Okay, I'm done grumping about that. Back to the specs inside of the tab. For your money here, you'll get the 8-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 8, which impressively enough is built off of 4nm technology. Now, that doesn't really matter that much unless you are a chip nerd, and as a chip nerd, I think that's pretty cool. You'll also get 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage, and here you'll get an 11-inch 1600 by 2560 display, so it's pretty similar to the iPad, except they have the stats flipped opposite of each other. But when it comes to dollars spent to get the tablet up and running, the Tab, at least for pre-orders, comes with the Samsung Pencil and a keyboard case, which you do not get on the Apple side. Okay, that's enough talking about specs and money. The next feature I want to talk about today is the display. Both of these displays are awesome, and yes, I know the Tab S8 gets the lower end version compared to the Tab S8 Plus, but the same thing happens on the iPad side, where the 11-inch iPad does not get that same incredible mini LED panel from the 12.9-inch model. So throwing out the it's not the best display that you can get in a particular model lineup, that argument just goes out the window because it happens to both of these. And both displays are amazing. Both can go up to 120 Hz refresh rate. Both can get decently bright. The iPad can go up to 600 nits of brightness, while the Samsung can only do 500. But when it comes to the displays working for an everyday person, I don't think you're going to see that much of a difference from a real usable level. I'm sure that's going to cause a bunch of very angry comments in the comment section below, because I've surprisingly seen some heat about the Tab S8 display. But if you're a regular person like me, I can guarantee you're probably not going to see a difference. Let's next talk about power. Here, much like displays, power in a tablet is only so useful. When it comes to raw power numbers, the M1 chip inside of the iPad Pro is an actual desktop level processor. You can find that inside of the Mac Mini, the MacBook Air, and the 13-inch MacBook Pro. You'll even get the full powered version with the 8-core GPU as opposed to the 7-core GPU inside of the base model M1 in the MacBook Air. And yes, that processor is probably my favorite of all time. It's crazy fast, it's very efficient, and it gives the iPad Pro unrivaled strength in the small paper notebook replacement category of personal technology. But as much as I like that processor, it is kind of wasted in an iPad. Yes, it will allow for faster 3D modeling. Yes, it will allow for faster content creation. But personally, I use my tablets for organizing and planning content, and I use my MacBook and other computers to actually create that content. When it comes to actual functional differences that we would see between the two processors, that's going to come down to the processor's longevity. Apple does the best job of keeping almost everything they sell up to date for 7 years or more. The iPad Air 2 got their current iPad OS 15, and that doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon. I would really easy see the M1 iPad Pro getting 10 years of service. Samsung, on the other hand, has pledged for up to 4 years of operating system updates, And that's pretty disappointing to me. Folks don't want to have to constantly buy products. If a processor or a system can handle an update, the manufacturer should provide it. But that's the thing that Apple has a leg up on, because they are the creators of the operating system and the hardware, where Samsung doesn't own Android, and they can't necessarily plan out where Android is going over the next 5, 6, 7 years. So if you are looking at the power numbers to help you make your purchasing decision, I think you really need to decide if 4 years is enough time, or if you want a tablet that's going to last as long as possible. If you are just looking for a tablet to do daily office, web conferencing, watching content kind of stuff, either of these has enough power for that. Next, let's talk about that software, because here is where the real differences come in. iPadOS and Android is absolutely a personal preference thing that I'm not going to dig into here. It's hard to help somebody make a decision on what is already down to what kind of system that you already prefer. But what I can say is the iPad is all tablet all the time. That's for better and for worse. It's hugely optimized around its specific software, and the darn thing flies. I don't know that I've ever had a faster feeling tablet, but it's a very singular app-focused system. Yes, there are multitasking capabilities, but it's very clunky, and at best, you can only have 2 functional screens at a time. From what I've seen so far on the Tab S8, you really have 2 modes. One is tablet mode, which functions much like other tablets like the iPad, but it also has Samsung's DeX mode, which we will mention here in a minute. When you activate that mode, the S8 turns into more of an actual laptop. But it's more Chromebook than like a Windows gaming laptop, but that's a very useful feature for me. That gives actual multi-window functional support, real mouse support, and you can do this straight from the tablet itself. You don't have to plug it into anything to make that work. You tap one button and you're into DeX mode. And since we're already talking about DeX mode, let's move into the next point of comparison, versatility. Here, it's not even close. The Samsung Tab S8 might be the most versatile tablet that I've ever even heard of. I've only had a couple of days to use it at this point, but holy cow, am I impressed. Like I said, by itself, you can turn this into a little laptop, but you plug this into a regular display and boom, it's a practical little Chromebook computer that you've always got with you. So it's absolutely a content consumption device, but with that tap of a button, it turns it into just enough of a computer to get 99% of daily job tasks or student class tasks done. This should make you take attention, because one of my favorite things about iPads over the last few years is how versatile of a device they are. The Tab S8 doesn't make the iPad less versatile, but it really points out some pretty big flaws in trying to use an iPad as an all-in-one work device. For example, if you plug the iPad into a display, all you get is the iPad's display copied over. It will have cropped bars on both sides, and it's like trying to use a tablet in a way that the tablets weren't really designed to be done. I think this is such a misstep from a company that's had the slogan of, what is a computer for the iPads? So in a very rare upset, I'm giving versatility to the Tab S8. Where the iPad wins in versatility is really the whole ecosystem it can be a part of. From phones to watches to computers, the Apple ecosystem is a very powerful force when it comes to buying computer technology. And the iPad Pro works great as a hub of that sort of system. But the question is, do you really need a hub when all of the pieces work so well together anyway? Team, I gotta tell you, this is the first time I think Apple's really started to lose the feature set ball on a piece of tech. Plus, in something that doesn't really fit into the versatility category as is, but I want to mention it anyway, you also get expandable media on the Tab S8. So you can use up to a 1 terabyte micro SD card if you want more storage here. Seeing as how most reputable companies will sell a pretty fast 1 terabyte option for about $130, that really puts that $700 for the Apple's 1 terabyte hard drive into question. Yes, internal SSDs will be faster than a micro SD card, but who cares? Who cares? In an actual computer, sure it matters, but on a tablet, I do not care about the speed of my storage. And one more hardware comparison I want to make quickly is in the front-facing cameras. Both tablets can be very powerful and very convenient teleconferencing tools. I think these could be the best teleconferencing tools on the market today. The iPad's front-facing camera is on the top of its portrait orientation, whereas the Tab S8 has its camera on top of landscape orientation. And I gotta say, another place that this isn't even in a competition is which of these devices is better for a person looking for a virtual meeting device for on the go. It drives me absolutely crazy that the iPad continues to have its camera so far off aligned from how people actually use these to web call people. Even if I'm FaceTiming my family, I'm not going to hold the tablet. Like, this is not going to get held in portrait mode. I'm going to set it into a case or a holder, and those all are in landscape mode. Apple, in the next version of the iPads, you really need to move this over. It's so much more useful. And if you're gonna make these devices as useful as possible, that is as useful as possible. Let's move on from that to talk about another perennial easy victory lap for the iPad's accessory support. We already mentioned that when you pre-order the Tab S8, you get the pencil and a keyboard case included for free. Now, I don't know how long that promotion will last, but as of the writing of the script and recording of the video, it still counts. To buy the Apple Pencil 2nd generation and the Smart Folio keyboard, that's around another $300 on top of that $799 price tag. And that's not the Magic Keyboard. That's the Folio keyboard, and I like that Folio keyboard and the Apple Pencil more than I like these options, but I'm not sure that I like them at almost double the cost more. When it comes to other accessories, I think both tablets have a lot of great options. Both have a Magic Keyboard equivalent that will come with a trackpad built in, and it's really those two that will allow you to blur that line between laptop and tablet. Neither turns them into a full laptop, but it turns them into more useful devices that I'm very impressed with. Both have all sorts of third-party accessories that can be had for great prices and really elevate what you can do with these. The problem you've no doubt noticed throughout my feelings in this video are, while yes, all of that is great, what point does it really serve on the iPad now that something like the Tab S8 exists? But at the end of the day, so what, right? Both devices can work as a tech hub. Both devices can have all sorts of great accessories. Both devices are very powerful, and both are absolutely some of the best tablets ever made. But if you need something more than just a movie watching device, the iPad needs you to make a lot of compromises and accept a lot of clunkiness to make it work. The Tab S8 isn't perfect, and I have had some slowdowns with it as well, but the functionality on hand here is more than just a tablet, and all of that is inherent to the system. And you can get it in a whole system for far less money than the iPad Pro, and it's just a better productivity computer. I guess it really comes down to is, how much do you need a tablet that fits in with the Apple ecosystem? That's really where it comes down to. Personally, I'll be taking the Tab S8 with me from now on because this is essentially my perfect tablet. Today's sponsor, Squarespace. You can create your own very beautiful website. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a professional website, online store, or portfolio. It's so easy to claim a domain/URL, create a custom site that matches your style, and brings your ideas to life. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, head on over to squarespace.com/everydaydad to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And thank you for watching.